Greetings from Podcastville. The Church of What's Happening Now is brought to you by MyBookie. Listen, ever since we started the podcast, people always asking me for different type of advice. If I know who's going to win, who's got the over, the under. Listen, the truth is, I don't know who's going to win, but if you think you know, you got to check out MyBookie. Why? Because it's the only service I recommend to the Church of What's Happening Now listeners, and they've been good to me. That's why I'm urging you to make your way to MyBookie right now. This weekend is the second weekend of pro football, and you want to be on tap. You understand me? They have in-game live betting, the most rewarding player perks in the business. And for you fantasy guys out there, you could even bet the over and under. You follow what I'm saying to you? So do me a favor. Join right now. At MyBookie, it will match your deposit dollar for dollar. Use promo code CHURCH, CHURCH, to activate the offer. Visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie, and don't forget to use promo code CHURCH when creating your account. You play, you win, you get paid. The show is also brought to you by 23andMe. You guys are sitting there, what's 23andMe? It's a DNA testing service that could offer insights into your ancestry, health, wellness, and traits. The 23andMe Health and Ancestry Service includes reports on how your DNA can influence your weight, sleep quality, caffeine intake, sense of taste, whether you're likely to be lactose intolerant, and a lot more. What I'm going to do is this for the church family. Order your 23andMe Health and Ancestry Service Kit at 23andme.com/church. That's 23andme.com/church. CHURCH. That's 23andme.com/church. Give it a shot today. Kick that motherfucking mule, Lee. It's as good as it gets. Uncle Pete, what do you think?
Love it.
Love it? Grew up on it?
Yep.
Really?
Son's playing it now. He's an old soul.
Really?
Yeah.
Son's in a band?
No, he's studying music at the University of Michigan. Just dropped him off for his sophomore year, and he's a John Mayer wannabe, a Jimmy Page wannabe.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. So he's bringing this back. He knows the lyrics to these songs better than I do. Songs that I grew up on.
What does he think about today's music? Wow. So what is he, 19, 20?
Just turned 19. He says rock is dying.
Okay.
It's
no Foo Fighters keeping him alive. No Greta Van.
First of all, that shocked me. I'm like, what do you mean rock is dying? He says, no, you got to listen. Everything is like, sampled and computerized and it's just different. So I said, you should play rock, and he goes, yeah, but it's kind of dated. It's not at its height right now, which is shocking for me to hear because that's what I grew up on. But he's 19. He knows. I don't.
I mean, it's. I love it. But it's getting old right now. Like that, all we have on the radio. I mean, I listen to Lithium. I got Sirius. I listen to Lithium. I listen to Ozzy's Boneyard. There's got to be something else I listen to. But 60% of the music on there is Guns N' Roses. Mm-hmm. That's all they play. They play a lot of Guns N' Roses, those 3 or 4 albums in heavy rotation. And, I love the Foo Fighters. I love David Grohl whenever they come out with something, I love that these older bands are touring because kids like your son are going to watch these guys.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's Roger Waters or, I think next week is Judas Priest and Deep Purple at the LA County Fair.
Wow.
You know how many people have invited me to that next week? And it sounds great. I mean, I listened to Eddie Trunk and he was talking about, or Jim Florentine. He was talking about that they're going to do Delivering the Goods. They haven't done it in 40 years. Whoa, wait a second. They haven't played a song in 40 fucking years. They're going to pull it out this year. Just the thought that they're still Def Leppard sold out the Garden.
Wow.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
But so music is alive in a way.
Oh, yeah.
It's
just evolving as it always does. It's just interesting where it's going.
What's up with you, brother?
I'm just working.
You just finished a movie with?
Just finished a movie and starting a movie. So I'm in like the vortex of hell right now.
So you're a month away from starting a new
5
comedy.
weeks away. You're making me poop a little because I should be home writing right now because we still got to finish the script.
Okay.
You
could do that with your eyes closed. You've done it before.
And finishing one that opens Thanksgiving. Wednesday. So
And that's the one with Jennifer.
That's the one with Jennifer Lopez.
And was that a romantic comedy?
It's a comedy.
Okay.
People are calling it a romantic comedy. There's some romance in it because there's Milo Ventimiglia, who all the chicks adore. I mean, it's crazy, you know, how popular he is because of This Is Us. But it's interesting. It's really not their story. I can't really say whose story it is because it kind of gives away a surprise. But if people want to think of it as a romantic comedy, think of it as a romantic comedy. It's kind of like, if it were to be like something, Working Girl, if you remember that movie.
Right. Are you one of the to-go guy directors now in Hollywood of comedy? Do you have a lot of scripts coming your way for comedic features?
I do. It's, you know, it's weird because not as many comedies are being made today as there used to be. It's the big IP things. If it's you know, a comic book or a Disney animated movie that they're turning into live action or a book, those are the movies that studios want to roll the dice on. And the mid-range comedies, whether they're romantic comedies or R-rated comedies, you know, hardly anybody's doing them. If it's not New Line or now STX, which is a studio that I've been working at the past couple of years, they're the only ones doing it. And it's great that they are, but it's not like it used to be where, you know, you'd get offers from Paramount and Warner Brothers and Fox. I mean, they still occasionally make them, but far fewer of the mid-range movies.
That's just nuts.
Yeah.
I see, you know, Kevin Hart's got a movie every 6 weeks.
Yep.
I know Kevin Hart's always doing something. Our old friend even De Niro pulls a comedy out from time to time.
Right.
You know, but it's not like, I don't know, it's, when I was growing up, there were 2 or 3 smash comedies every year.
Yep.
That fucked your world up. There was 6 or 7 good ones, but 3 that fucked you up. Eddie Murphy, you know, somebody from Saturday Night Live, something.
Right.
I don't see that anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's, you know, it's kind of like what we were talking about with music. It's evolving. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, right now, I feel like there's so many superhero movies that how can that sustain our business? And are we going to look back on it 10 years from now and say, remember when we were in that period where all it was superhero movies, or Disney, which seems to like own the planet Earth right now, between Pixar and Marvel and Star Wars. It's an interesting time.
I loved Coco.
Oh, fantastic.
Like, I thought it was, I took my daughter, I thought it was fucking great. You know, those Pixar movies, they take 2 or 3 years to make, but they're all home runs.
No, absolutely.
You know, it takes a lot. It breaks my heart that I'm not the movie guy I used to be. Like,
And what do you mean by that? You don't go as much?
Friday, 11:30. I'm that guy. What time's your movie come out? Friday, 11:30. Where's it come out? Comes out in Lemley, 11:45, and it comes out in North Hollywood 6 at 11:15. I was at the 11:15 in North Hollywood, and I'd schedule a joint, the Chinese food before. There'd have to be yogurt. Like, I had a process. It just wasn't the movie. It was the whole thing.
Right.
I don't know if it's because I got married. I don't know. I just went to the movies on a date. We go to date night. We went to see Mission Impossible. The last 15 minutes was an hour and a half. Blow the fucking plane up already, cocksucker. 15 minutes, I'm waiting my ass. There's an hour and a half and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The world's got 15 minutes, I'm sitting here an hour and a half. Why is that fucking happening? You know? Why is this happening? I don't need this shit in my world. And I went to see the part 2, The Equalizer.
Yeah.
And again, nothing topped Man on Fire. After Man on Fire, he could have shot himself in the head because it was so good. He was so good, Denzel, in Man on Fire. Yeah, he was a great drunk pilot.
Yeah.
And he was okay as the fucking whatever. But, you know, it was okay. Like, I didn't remember anything from it. I didn't come home and give you a line.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that stuff. I was telling John how when I went to see The Wrestler, I remember sitting there during The Wrestler. I'm watching Mickey Rourke, somebody I loved early on from the Pope of Greenwich Village, and then Angel Hardy's brilliant. And I'm like, why did I come see this movie at 12? This was the first movie I'd gone back to my old self. Like, I went to see that. What's the expensive one on Sunset? The dome.
Cinerama dome.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. You get the $6 fucking chicken sausage with the mustard and the onion. You eat like a doctor. You go in there, you drop 50. There's no matinee prices there. There's nothing. You pick you know which one I'm talking about right there? On Gower. Is it Gower? It's Cinerama dome. Yeah. You go in there, that's a yardstick. You go on a date there, you drop 80. Easy. Yeah. Popcorn. You always got to get this chicken sausage. That's the secret. This chicken sausage with the fucking mustard and the onions. It's brilliant in there. What are we talking about? Oh, but I went in there and I'm watching the wrestler and I'm thinking to myself, what made me come here? Because like with Goodfellas, I was in a halfway house, Pete. I was in a federal halfway house. Peter, I made up a whole story on how I had to go to a hospital or something. No, I didn't. I had a joint. I went for Chinese food, and I went to the first viewing of Goodfellas with maybe 7 other people in the movie theater. I love that shit.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to leave the movie at 2 and tell people whether the movie, and like, we're going tonight, don't bother. You know, like being a critic for your friends that could suck dick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I loved all that stuff. I don't do it no more because there's nothing really that grabs me. The Wrestler was the last one that I went, and I thought about what made me go see it. And it was something I read online. That's it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's little things. They don't prepare you. The movie studios don't prepare you anymore. It's such a run-and-gun business. You got 2 weeks of advertising, and I got to catch it in 3 days. If not, the movie moves on. Mm-hmm. Fucking Superfly and Gotti are already on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Well, no one watches commercials anymore. Who watches? Everyone skips through them. So unless you're at the movies watching a preview, how are you finding out about this movie? Now you have to see it on like Instagram or something. Like,
yeah, that's true. This movie that
I never thought about that.
This movie that we're advertising right now, the Jennifer Lopez one, it's called Second Act. The way the movie is being advertised is completely different. It's relying so much more on digital. So, you know, Jennifer has like 120 million followers, and she released the trailer. And I saw Dwayne Johnson did the same thing for Skyscraper. And that's a bigger reach than they're going to get, you know, on a TV show. And it used to be a big thing, and I guess it still is sort of, but, you know, Super Bowl spots, but they're so expensive now, and people are going to the bathroom during them. So everything's changing. It used to be television was the biggest form of advertising. Now it's digital and social.
It's so great. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's funny what you said about your son, because my cousin went to Ithaca, and he graduated, and like a year later, they switched from film to digital. Mm-hmm. And he didn't last because everything he went to school for was out. So we've been talking about the change, and it's weird how sometimes you have no control over it. Like you probably as a director have had to adapt a ton since you've shot a movie with Joey, or even 3 years ago. So the whole business has probably changed a few times.
It has changed. I actually was the guy blamed for getting rid of film editing because my first movie we edited on Avid, and it was the first major motion picture to edit entirely digitally. And then I had people like who were mad at me, and like Bryan Singer on the end of Usual Suspects put, you know, this film was edited entirely on film. I thought, okay, well, that's fine. It's just that I came from television where we were editing digitally, and I thought, well, why aren't they doing this in film? And it was different back then. You had to hose down the mags. Literally, they get so hot, and now you don't have half the machinery in the room. So that was how we edited. And then from a picture standpoint, Dean Semler, who I've done 4 movies with, who did The Longest Yard
and Grudge Match,
he convinced me on Get Smart to go digital, not shoot film. And he literally took me to a theater in Hollywood, and he A-B'd the same scene from I forget what movie, and he said, I want you to tell me, you guess, what's film and what's digital. And I got it wrong every time. I said, that's the film. He goes, nope, that's digital. And that one, vice versa. So I couldn't tell the difference. I said, okay, we should shoot digital. And now there's still a lot of directors who want to shoot film. Chris Nolan, Tarantino, that's great. But what they told me, I said, why do you guys like, as cinematographers, shooting digitally? He said, well, you know, Pete, you know, I could never go to sleep at night, you know, and I didn't know if the film was developed properly or not. I'd have to wake up in the morning and call the lab. And now I know it instantly. It's done. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I remember asking, because Steve Carell really liked shooting digitally. And I said, why? What do you sense as an actor? What difference does it make to you? He goes, I remember hearing the film running through the mag, and I felt pressure, like we're spending money if I don't get my scene funny or right. But digital, I don't hear it, and I hear it's cheap. Tape's cheap. So it calms me down. I'm like, wow, I never thought of that.
That's crazy.
So 2 different perspectives. So I'm sorry, I helped fuck up the business, but it is the way of the future.
It is the future. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
No, everything's evolving. I mean, everything has evolved so much.
Yeah. And the way you color time a picture, which a lot of people don't even know what that means. But if you look at old movie posters, Lawrence of Arabia, on the poster, it'll say colorist. And he got a credit on the poster. Now no one even knows what that is. But it's literally changing the colors of a picture. Now on film, you would add a point of yellow to the entire screen, or a point of green, or a point of blue, and this would change, the color of your face. If you looked green and we wanted to make you look tan, you change color. Now, digitally, you can colorize certain sections of the screen. It's much more accurate, and it's so fantastic.
If you watch some of those films, Dorothy, The Wizard of Oz, anything with Yul Brynner.
King and I.
King and I.
The original Westworld.
The original Westworld. You could see that they fucked around. Mm-hmm. You couldn't catch what it was. You were too young. You didn't understand. Mm-hmm. But you knew something wasn't right, especially with Yul Brynner. Yul Brynner always fucked with me, and I don't know why. His face always looked too tan, or it wasn't tan enough. So there was something about Yul Brynner that always fucked with me. How would The Longest Yard be different if you would have shot it digitally then? Would it have gone quicker? Would it?
No. You know what? It's an aesthetic choice. It's cheaper, right? Film is expensive. You used to get, when you would shoot 1 million feet of film, Kodak would come out and give you a bottle of champagne, and that was considered a lot. And on Longest Yard, I got 2 bottles of champagne, and the studio was pissed because they said, you're shooting too much fucking film. Slow down. I'm like, I'm shooting football. I have 5 cameras going. You watch an NFL game on the weekend, there's like 47 cameras that cover a football game. I couldn't do that, but that's what I'm competing against. So we take 5 cameras and we move them around a couple times, and then it looks like I have 25 cameras. I'm still half of what the NFL is shooting. But shooting on film with that number of cameras, that was very expensive. And they're not making movies, the Sandler days, that being one of them, where movies cost $80 million. No. Everything now is 20 or under. Now, no one's going to feel sorry for us, but that was the business. Nutty Professor cost $85 million. They wouldn't spend that today.
$85 million.
Yeah. Made 160, but it, they don't that's what I'm saying. They don't greenlight movies in that world anymore. The crazy thing is Netflix still is paying big dollars, for the budgets of the Sandler movies. They're still big over there. I don't quite understand the business model, how they make money. I'm sure they do, but it's a new era. There's streaming movies. Now Netflix is going to make big Oscar campaigns for their movies. They got a Coen brother movie. There's an Alfonso Cuarón movie. Last thing he did was Gravity, remember? And he's got a big one coming out. And so I guess they put him out in the theater for a weekend, so it qualifies for the Oscars. But then you watch him on Netflix. If you got a nice theater at home, screen and the surround sound, it's like, why not?
It was funny when you guys were talking about movie theaters, because my favorite thing about living in LA, and it's actually been closed for about a year, is going to places like the New Beverly and seeing old double features for $6. Like, that's what I think is kind of growing in the movie industry, is like people going back. Like, I was just AMC is releasing Smokey and the Bandit because of Burt Reynolds. Yeah. They're going to release it, and I'm sure every screening will be sold out. So that's pretty fun.
The New Beverly, that's the Tarantino theater, right?
Right, yeah.
They've been doing that.
It was awesome. He played Tommy Boy 2 years ago when it was its 20th anniversary. And So I went and they had me do a little speech in front. It was a packed house because I hadn't seen the movie projected since the movie came out. Once, you go to the premiere, that's like the last time you see a movie on a big screen, most of the time. And I said, wait. How did Quentin Tarantino have a 35 millimeter print of Tommy Boy? I said, oh no, he owns one. I said, I don't even own a 35 millimeter print of my own movies, but he does. And he has a vault, and because they've got to be color, temperature controlled so that the film doesn't melt or decay. And then I had another screening of Tommy Boy at the USC in the Frank Sinatra Theater, and that print came directly from Paramount, and it was a piece of shit. It had scratches all over it and everything. Tarantino's copy of the movie was better than Paramount's. It was fantastic. So I love that. I love what he's doing.
Was that your first big comedy?
No, first movie I made when I was 30 was Naked Gun, the final Naked Gun.
You went to USC.
Went to USC.
How long did you stay in New York City for?
New York to 0 through 8.
Really? Where'd you live?
I lived Upper West Side, 441 West End Avenue. Then moved when I was 5 to Mamaroneck.
Where did you go to public school? What public school did you go to?
Oh, I don't know the name of them, but F.E. Bellows Elementary, if you want to know.
No, I lived on the Upper West Side.
Oh, really? It was preschool.
I lived on the Upper West Side from 66 to 73.
Oh, yeah.
I lived on 88th Street, 205.
Oh my God, we were like neighbors.
Yeah, but I went to PS 166. That's why.
My sister went to PS 109. Okay. I remember. I don't remember the number of mine.
PS 166.
Stiller was a neighbor of ours too, Ben Stiller.
Right, he's one of those guys up there too.
I lived a block from Zabar's.
Okay.
1 block.
Okay.
And I grew up at the Natural History Museum. My grandparents would babysit me. And just to shut me up, they'll just take him to the museum. He'll stop crying.
How many times did you stand in the middle and look at that whale up on top?
I literally was just shooting this, and I spent 7 months of this past year in New York, and I have so much deja vu of I've been here when I was a kid.
Yes.
I remember my dad. I went to Riverside Park, and I cracked my skull open. I was riding my bike down a path, and I slammed the brakes on, went right over the handlebars.
But right by the memorials?
It was going down a hill into the park, and I remember my dad was like taking me to the hospital, and he bumps into Walter Matthau, who's walking Charlie Matthau in a stroller, and he goes, "Mort Segal, how are you?" And he goes, "I can't talk right now. Son's bleeding. Got to take him to the hospital." But they had worked together, and I remember my dad telling me that story. I'm like, that's nice. So I kind of met Walter Matthau. I don't really remember it. My brains were oozing out of my forehead.
Right by the Lincoln Memorial. Isn't there a Lincoln Memorial on Riverside Drive?
Yeah.
By like 90th, between like 85th and 90th. I could be wrong. There's a memorial there.
There might be.
And my dad died when I was young, but I was baptized Catholic, and my godfather stuck to his word. And on Saturdays, he would pick me up, and he'd take me to like fucking... At first, he got bored of kid movies. He'd take me to like The Love Bug.
Oh, yeah.
And he took me to The World's Greatest Athlete with
Love that.
Michael Vincent with the arms.
And John Amos.
But one time he was like, I don't want to sit through this. So he took me to see the Valachi Papers.
Oh, yeah.
And I was hooked. No. The first movie he took me to see was Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's George Lazenby.
That was the first Bond.
No, he came in between.
Did he?
Yes.
I thought he was the first.
69. No, they had already made the ones with...
Connery?
With Connery.
No. Oh, was he after? I thought he was before.
Yeah, let's check it out. He came in 69, 68, did one movie, Her Majesty's Secret Service with Kojak, Diana Rigg.
Mm-hmm.
I was in love with fucking Diana Rigg as a young kid. So, there was 3. He was in between Connery and maybe The Saint. Remember the TV show The Saint?
Yeah.
That guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what he only did one movie.
Yeah.
And Kojak was in it, whatever the fuck his name is.
Telly Savalas.
Telly Savalas. So he played the bad guy in the movie.
He was the third. It looks like there was David Niven did it once.
What? I do not remember that.
Yes.
And George Lazenby in 69, yeah.
Was 69. George Lazenby. I was 6.
David Niven was Bond?
What was the name of that movie when he played Bond?
Who?
David Niven.
Casino Royale.
What? That is so weird.
In 67.
That is so weird.
So, yeah, after Sean Connery, they didn't know for sure When did the guy from The Saint come on?
The Saint. Which one is the
They'll
Saint?
tell you. Who was after George Lazenby?
Okay. Roger Moore.
Roger Moore
Well,
from The Saint.
he was the one. Yeah.
He was the show The Saint.
He was the one though that I remembered as a kid. Moonraker, I think,
Right.
was my favorite.
That was my favorite too.
Yeah, and by the way, so Jaws, the Richard Kiel who played Jaws in Moonraker, but they brought him back for another one. He was also in the original Longest Yard.
Yes, he was.
That's why I brought back Dalip Singh, who was in The Longest Yard, as my huge guy in Get Smart. That was an homage to Richard Kiel in the original and Moonraker.
You do a lot of homages from time to time.
Homages are better than pillages. You don't want to be stealing stuff, so you'd like to honor it. So yeah.
Does it feel like kind of like I'm not an Easter egg, but almost like a little secret that you have that maybe someone will find out, but it's just really for you.
Yeah.
So how long was Peter Moore?
Roger Moore?
Roger Moore.
From 73 to 85, he did
Jesus.
Yeah.
7 of them.
And then there was the good-looking...
Timothy Dalton.
Yeah, that's right. He did 1 or 2.
And then Pierce Brosnan did for 10 years.
Yeah.
I like Pierce Brosnan.
I did too.
That's where I grew up. And then Daniel Craig's been doing it since 05.
But Daniel Craig is such a great badass Bond. It's a different Bond, and it changed
I like him. Yeah,
I love him.
I like him.
I love him. He did, the redo of Casino Royale, written by Paul Haggis. And by the way, the recent one, Spectre, the guy I'm now working with, Dave Bautista, was the bad dude in that. And, this is some great scenes. The fight on the train, where you'd never think Daniel Craig could beat the crap out of that guy, because that guy is a big man.
That's a big dude.
That's a big man.
Now, are they going to replace Daniel Craig or no?
He is, I think after the last one, he said, I'm done. He said something like, I'd rather have sewing needles poked in my eyes rather than do another one of those. And I think he was just exhausted. And then he came back and said, let me finish. What I meant was, and he stayed.
Well, I mean, that's literally what I was just going to bring up. The last I heard is that they were one of the rumors was Idris Elba.
Oh, yeah.
And
Was
people
gonna-
went crazy.
And I was going to get your opinion on it, because for me, I mean, I didn't grow up with it, but to have a black James Bond I don't really have a feeling either way. Do you guys, obviously, you're not going to be like, oh, I would never let a black guy do it, but do you guys get married to the way things were, and when they do remakes, do you guys get upset if they change things? Or
Well, first of all, I think he'd be awesome. Secondly, why not? But third, it was interesting. I experienced a little bit of backlash on, Get Smart wasn't a remake. It was an adaptation. But Carell and I, when we did that, we wanted to make it a little more grounded and have the action be a little more masculine and muscular, as opposed to just playing the jokes. And some fans of the original series said, hey, the original's goofier. You guys are, you got comedy, but you got real action in there. It's not the same tone. And I remember Chris Rock, ironically, wanted to play Maxwell Smart. This is before I knew Chris or knew that he was interested in that. But after the movie came out, we had already done Longest Yard at that point, and he called me and said, you stuck to that tone. I love it. And that's brave. And I didn't understand what he meant. I said, what do you mean? But then I, heard the fans talking, and it's like, yeah, when you mess with a tone of something, sometimes you can get some friction. Ironically, then look at 21 Jump Street. That was a straight up comedy. That's not what the original TV series was. People loved it. So it's interesting, when you can rub people the wrong way by just changing, some aspect of the original. Just a hair to the left or a hair to the right.
I wouldn't
Never
mind
know.
seeing Ibis, whatever his name is, Abbas, whatever his fucking name is.
Idris Elba.
I think, number one, he's English. I like that accent that he has, so it would still keep the patois. First time I saw The Longest Yard, we went to the Super Bowl. Do you remember that?
Which Longest Yard? Ours?
The remake.
Yeah.
Okay, and I didn't get flown in by Sony. Telemundo flew me in because Adam kept pushing me to the Latino market. So Telemundo put me in there, and they put me in a condo, in between Nelly and Michael Irvin. And I remember that I think Bert was there. You were there. Did you go to the Super Bowl?
I did not.
It was a couple guys there, and I was like the odd man out because I wasn't there with the crew. I was there with Telemundo. And they did like a screening of the fucking trailer. And I gotta be honest with you, I went back to the room and I cried. When I saw Adam put his finger in his mouth and put his thing in the guy's ear, I nearly cried. I was never so embarrassed in my life. I go, you just ruined this tough guy movie with this fucking finger in the ear. I was pissed for about 3 days. Then I went to the second screening at Paramount, and then I started falling in love with it. I saw what had been done, and then I remembered that we're artists. I don't want to see the same movie. If you do a remake, I don't want to see the same movie. But I do want you to keep it in the same vein. That's all I ask you.
Yep.
Keep it in the same vein. The Death Wish they did with Bruce Willis, you disrespected Charles Bronson. You disrespected me when you did that. When you did The Mechanic with that guy, I love that guy. But he ain't no mechanic. You fucked it up. The Mechanic was a guy that killed with precision. He didn't kill you with a bullet. He killed you by faking stuff. He did different things to you to kill you. So on the death certificate, it didn't come up like you died from that, and everybody got healthy. This guy's blowing up fucking buildings. That's not the fucking Mechanic. That's not an illustration of me with the Mechanic. I want to see the 2018 Mechanic. This guy's got electronics. Charles Bronson, you know how the Mechanic opens up?
No, not his.
It's a fucking 30-minute no line. Mr. S, not one fucking line. And it's Charles Bronson in downtown L.A., walks into a hotel, checks in, Mosley goes into his room, sets up a telescope, watches this guy. This guy gets up, leaves for the day, and Charles Bronson goes back in, and you see Charles Bronson stuffing his tea bags, getting one of his favorite books, sticking glue balls in books, and the guy comes back, and sure enough, he puts the fucking tea on, and it was sleeping pills in the tea, and the guy lays down, and Charles Bronson takes the rifle. This is after 20 minutes. There's not one fucking line. The director's sucking you the fuck in. And all of a sudden they show Charles Bronson points at the book in the thing, and he shoots a bullet at the book, and the building blows up. And the next day there was a fire, and the guy dies. Nobody knows. That's how articulate he was. He found out another guy had a heart condition. So he took him golfing, and he had somebody shoot at him. So when the guy ran, he died of a heart attack. When they did the remake, they didn't use that. They just showed me a guy that what would do in 2018, blow people up. That's not the Mechanic. So I appreciate a lot of things from remakes, and there's a lot of things from remakes that go a little bit too over. I like Get Smart. I grew up on Agent 99. I wanted to fuck her too. When I came from Cuba, I wanted to fuck her, Diana Rigg, and marry Tyler Moore. They were all going to get dick when I got older. You know what I'm saying?
That's a nice sandwich.
That's how I learned how to speak English, by watching Dick Van Dyke, by watching all those shows. So I fell. Diana Rigg was on a show when I was a kid that was a brilliant English show. And even though I didn't like English accents then, it was tougher for me to understand an English accent. Diana Rigg was on a show that was on Channel 9 in New York City. Channel 9 is also known for having the Mets and...
The Avengers?
The Avengers. See, she came. They did a remake of that.
Yep.
The Avengers was her and a little English dude.
Right.
And she would do a bunch of crazy shit.
It's not Captain America, I'm assuming. Yeah, it's not, it's not superheroes.
Fucking America, all right? It's fucking the Avengers. But that's weird how you said that they're not... When I did Spider-Man 2, like, listen, let's be honest. Longest Yard in Santa Fe was as good as it gets in my world. The Smoothie Girls, the Umbrella Girls, the people fucking with Gabagool. They had a lady who came up to you with a tray of cold cuts. Do you understand me?
By the way, do you know why?
Why?
We get there for training camp, and that's like the closest I got to playing Tom Landry, right? I'm walking around with my playbook, and all you guys are on the field training, right? In full pads. And I'm, I didn't have to play director that day, because Mark Ellis is running the football. We designed the plays together, but now he's getting everyone in shape. You got Bill Romanowski, who's acting like he's still playing. And he's like, to some actor who jogs by him, goes, hey, whose jersey was untucked, tuck that shit in. And he was taking it seriously. And, it was unbelievable. But one day, it was actually that same afternoon, clouds in the sky, looked like a storm was rolling in, and Sandler was pissed. He said, it's Bernardi, our producer. He calls him over.
Michael.
Barry.
Barry Bernardi.
And he says, what do you not see out on that field? He goes, I don't know. What do you see? Bunch of guys in football uniforms. Right. No girls. I want water girls. I want girls bringing around cold cuts. I want these guys to be happy. And Barry looked at me like, what the fuck? And I'm like, it's not a bad idea. Because he said, we're going to be however many guys we were, it was a large cast in a desert, in a prison. Let's not have it feel like a desert prison. Let's have a little bit of, femininity. And so that's why we were served, water.
Smoothies, protein shakes,
yeah,
in little cups, in Dixie cups, protein shakes, and you would just sit there and drink like 10 of them, like you were embarrassed. But the girl that came around with the cold cuts, it was something from another world. Like, those cigarette girls?
With a little tray.
Tray. And she didn't just have ham and cheese and some fucking cheddar cheese. No. They had everything. Prosciutto, fucking ham, gabagool.
And did they have rolls to make sandwiches? Or was
you had everything. You put it in your
hand
and ate it without the fucking animal
it's
style.
Like keto, I don't know.
Fuck no, they were rolls.
Yeah.
And it was like they kept coming at you. It was like being at Fogo de Chao and putting the green light. Like if in between takes.
But the weirdest thing though is, so there's that. You're eating luxurious snacks, right? In a prison that had the worst riot in U.S. history. So I'm scouting this place, and I go into one of the cells, and I got 2 guys from the film commission with me. One was a Native American, long ponytail, and then his sidekick. And I'm in a cell, and I'm looking out the window at the beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico desert. And I said, this is not a bad prison. I mean, if I was going to commit a crime, it's not a bad cell. And they look at each other like they'd just seen a ghost. And I went, what was that? I come back to L.A. and I'm interviewing people to be on the crew. The one guy comes in and he's kind of ashen white. He goes, you know where you're shooting, don't you? And I said, no. And he hands me a book, and it's called The Devil's Butcher Block. The story of the riot at that prison. And I started to read it, and it was 38 people were killed, and somebody got into the key room, and from the key room they went into the tool shed and got the tools, and then went into cell block C, which was where the snitches were. They pulled them all out and they chopped them up, bowled down the hallways with their heads, stacked the body parts in the gym, set it on fire. So when I go there, Ichabod Crane, as I used to call him, he was this caretaker of that wing of the prison, liked to give tours. Did you get a tour?
No. No.
He loved giving fucking tours.
I walked halfway with him, and he told me that the floor wouldn't stay the color it was.
Correct. He said the bloodstains kept coming back. They tried to bleach them away, and the blood would come back.
And I'm a Santeria guy. I can't be.
So he shows the chop marks in the floor where they chopped heads off with shovels, that the chips from the shovels are still there. And after a while, the players started getting so fucking freaked out. I got pissed. I said, you got to board up Cell Block C. And no more Ichabod Crane ghost tours. This has got to stop, because we're doing a comedy. Everyone's getting fucking freaked out. And so we're eating prosciutto. I remember my kids, are playing catch, on the field, and it's sort of like you're going around Gettysburg. You feel it. It's like palpable. You felt like people died here. And I literally hyperventilated the next time I went back to the prison as I was going through the gate, because it's next to an actual Supermax.
Yeah.
And so this was abandoned, and what now Homeland Security would use it to train. So you go down, in the lower level where the chop marks are, and you're walking through and the lights are out, and you go to the gas chamber or the electric chair, right? And in and out certain hallways, because of Homeland Security, they have dummies for like targets to shoot. And so you're walking along and suddenly a dummy, and you fucking freak out like, Jesus! And it's a dummy. And I don't know if you remember this, Jack G, Adam's producing partner, dared his assistant for $1,000.
$1,000.
Spend the night in the electric chair room with the lights out, with all that shit that I just said. Dummies, chop marks, blood that won't erase. I'll give you $1,000. I got so pissed. I said, do not take that bet. I'm going to freak out just thinking about you down there. Don't do it. He did it.
He spent the night.
Spent the night.
I don't think it was haunted. I remember somebody scared me.
There was enough bad
bit.
juju. It didn't need to be haunted.
When we did the prison shots, I had to go into the building. They told me, come over here, go into the building and take prison shots. And the day I was taking the prison shots, that's when the guy went off on me. I don't know if it was Ichabod Crane. Whoever was standing in there.
We gave you the tour. Wanted to give you the tour.
He started telling me that they had taken the heads and they had put them on sticks.
Yeah.
Like after they were bowling with the heads and shit like that. And when the cops came in, when the cops seized the prison, the lights were shut off. And they noticed that there was a lot of water. It was like those 12 kids in Thailand. They were walking with a lot of water. And when they turned the lights on, it wasn't water. It was blood.
Oh, shit.
It was rivers and puddles of blood that were running. Like, that's how much blood
I have to read this book. Oh, my God.
You don't want to read it.
No. It's going to freak you out.
It's going to freak you out.
But that's where people don't realize that. That's where we did this comedy.
So the first day that we shot, Adam brought an Indian in.
Oh, my God. I remember that.
I think he brought a rabbi in. I think he brought every nationality in. I think a rabbi came in with a small 50.
But do you remember what he did? He pissed him off, too. Because the guy had, he burned some incense, some herb.
Right.
And he was blessing. And then Sandler said right afterwards, hey, can I smoke some of that now? And the guy looked at him like if there could have been a clap of thunder. I went, holy shit, I hope you just didn't jinx us. But he had to crack a joke.
You know, it's like I was very lucky in the beginning. You know, there wasn't no $100 a day movies. You know, when I moved here, there wasn't no $4.35. It was all scale plus 10, and you went from there, you know. And I still remember going to a commercial shoot in 1990. From 97 to 2000, if you went to a commercial shoot, when you signed in, it would say the product, Breyer's Ice Cream. And it would say, some salesman, whatever the roles. And then it would go, it shoots September 15th through the 18th. When you got the call, guess what? You worked all 3 days. For 2 days, you sat there and watched other people shoot their commercials. Breyers wasn't really shooting one commercial. It was shooting 3, 1 a day. They would hire you. And you sat there for 2 days. They paid you scale plus 10, and they knew it. Just in case something happened and they wanted to shoot that commercial again or they wanted to catch something. If you got a movie in those days, I always got overtime. I still got the ticket stubs. Like, my first couple TV shows, you would sit there and their overtime. That all disappeared. Like at Spider-Man 2, you know they were eating lobster tails on the Sony lot on Fridays. You do know that. So when you see a movie that says 160 million, you have to consider that. How much of that is waste? Like, they had, this was 2003 when I shot Spider-Man 2, pomegranate juice. Remember, it was at $5 a bottle. They would have half gallons out, and I would just take a gallon and bring it to my room. I didn't fucking know. You know how much those half gallons are? And then you shoot a $100 a day movie, and there's no wardrobe chick that picks the lint off your shirt. There's nobody that fixes your hat. What you look like is what you look like, bitch.
Yeah.
What you look like is what you look like. Then you do the longest yard where they actually had to tattoo you in the morning. Remember, our call time was 4:45.
Yeah.
4:45. And those animals who I just did his podcast, Steve Austin.
Oh, yeah?
Those animals were out till 1 or 2, 4 nights a week.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would close that hotel bar down, that little dingy, it had 3 seats.
Yeah. No one tells the director these things. They didn't want to freak me out. So I never heard any of this. I thought you guys were like all tucked in bed by 9.
No. Those guys would go to Albuquerque. There was really no action in Santa Fe.
No, a lot of art galleries.
A lot of art galleries. There was one strip club. It wasn't. I went in there and tried to do comedy one night. They threw me out. I was like, I just want to do comedy. There's not one open motherfucking mic in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah.
But they had a Dunkin' Donuts. We had cars, and we could drive up that little strip of land, towards Las Cruces. I went to Albuquerque one time, and I realized they shot cops there, and I never went back again. All those guys would go to Albuquerque for the weekends. I was like, fuck you. I would stay up there with the Seattle Seahawk would always stay. Mm-hmm. He never went back. Brian Bosworth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And a couple guys would stay the weekend.
I remember one time I can't remember the name of the hotel in Santa Fe I was staying, and it was the middle of the shoot, and they told me, they said, this Saturday you need to move out of your room.
Oh, yeah, because Arnold.
Then you can move back in Sunday. I'm like, you're really going to kick me out of my... Well, we have a VIP who's coming, and this is his favorite room. So I said, really? Okay. And I moved out for one night, and then on the set one day, someone says, Pete, the governor wants to talk to you. I'm like, what? And so they hand me a phone. Peter, I just want to tell you thank you very much for letting me stay in the room. It's just a personal convenience for me. And he just was thanking me. I was like, this is so cool.
And you know who else they asked to leave?
Who?
Nelly.
Really?
Because he was smoking pot in the hotel. And they didn't want Arnold to smoke it. So they asked Nelly to leave for 2 or 3 days.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, for Schwarzenegger.
Wasn't he close? He was probably close to you. You didn't know.
I didn't know.
Nelly was in your wing. There was a certain wing that they closed off for Arnold that week.
Cell Block C wing.
Yeah, Cell Block C wing and stuff like that.
Wow. Interesting.
You know, I always wanted to ask you I love Tommy Boy. You know, I miss Chris Farley. It's so weird that I think about the last time I saw Chris Farley, and it was one of the saddest things I ever saw in Hollywood. But I had gone through what he was going through. My girlfriend was a stripper on La Cienega, and I had just left the Comedy Store. This was 2 weeks before he died. This is 98, right? When did he die?
Mm-hmm. I think.
98, 97.
Yeah, December 18th.
98. This had to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks before he died. At that strip club, there's no contact allowed. They dance naked. Mm-hmm. You can't touch them. There's no lap dances. What you could do is hire them to dance nude, but they have to stand 5 feet from you, and there's a rope. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. That seems just stupid. I can't grab you. I can't fucking Harvey you, you know what I'm saying? For the small $5. But it was so funny how my girlfriend at the time said, park the car, you got to see this. And I go, okay, and I didn't know what she was going to show me. And it was Chris Farley sweating profusely.
Yeah.
He was sweating so much that his hair was back. He had like a shirt on, and he was just rolling up 50s and 20s and getting a lap dance and just throwing them at him. And I remember looking at him, come on, everything in my heart wanted to go up and give that guy a hug. I'm a comic. You know what I'm saying? Like everything. And you ever hear that expression, don't talk to the celebrities you look up to because you might be disappointed. Like I remember going in that car and being fucking really sad. But I saw one, I was a little chubby at the time, so I looked up to him, Belushi, you know. Mm-hmm. And that was the last time I saw him. 2 weeks after that, he was probably gone. Like 2 or 3 weeks, and I was like, that's fucked up that I saw him that night. Acting that way at a strip club, giggling by himself. He was totally by himself. There was not a soul with him.
Well, I sort of straddled two sides of his personality because I started working with him in television. He was in an HBO special I did with Tom Arnold and Ben Stiller and Jim Carrey were in it. And I remember him showing me, and I was shooting with Chris Farley. We went to the Glendale Galleria, and we were just following him around with a camera as he was picking up on girls. It was pee in your pants, hilarious. He would like walk up to a girl and say, with holding an orange and say, hi, do you have fingernails? Can you start my orange for me? I can't peel it. And then he'd just start flirting with it. Hilarious stuff. Right after that, so that was for HBO. Then we did the Jackie Thomas show, and he played Tom's brother. And right after that episode,
I read for you then. What year was Jackie Thomas? 97?
No, 91.
No, I wasn't here.
Different,
I read for a different Thomas show.
Well, they put him straight in a limo and took him to rehab. So when I was working with him, he was still, high and abusing stuff. Tommy Boy, he was clean. And ironically, I'm prepping this movie in Toronto. I haven't been to Toronto since I shot Tommy Boy 24 years ago. He was clean there, and he always went to his priest at night, and that was his AA. And, right after Tommy Boy, there were a lot of things offered to Chris because he kind of blew up. And the things that were offered to him, I thought were terrible. And he kept saying, well, do this with me, Pete, do this. And I said, it's terrible. And I said, no. And he got really upset with me. He thought I didn't like him anymore. And he was mad at me, and I had to write him a 7-page letter. Tell him how much it was absolutely wrong. I adored him. I just wanted the best for him. I thought he could get nominated for an Oscar one day if he chose properly. But don't cash in on this crap you're being offered right now. Wait, choose. And he forgave me. It was soon thereafter that he passed. And we never got to work together again. And I always felt sad about that. But going back to Toronto lately, it's like all these memories are flooding back. I literally stood at the Gooderman Wirtz Distillery last week, which was Callahan Auto. And they built an apartment building where the front gate was, so I was a little disoriented. I said, I remember we entered somewhere and it's not here anymore. And then finally I stood in the middle of the courtyard where he sat thinking about, his father who passed away. And I went, holy shit, I know exactly where I am. Oh my God. And I almost got emotional because I was like, I'm standing where Chris sat, and I could barely recognize it. But the buildings are historical landmarks, so they didn't touch the actual buildings, but they just put so many condos around it, it was hard to recognize. But no, I talk to Spade every now and then, and Fred Wolf and I are, who wrote the movie, are still good friends.
Fred's still around.
Fred's still around, yeah.
I see the one brother around, one Farley brother.
John,
I see him around.
Kevin.
I know both of them.
Yeah.
One lived down the corner from me on Gardner, and the other one I knew from auditions and whatnot, and doing stand-up with David. He's always around with Spade.
They're great guys.
I think he hangs out with, he opens for Spade. One of them opens for Spade. That's the one I see. They're great guys.
Yep.
I remember when I was a kid, I loved fucking Blues Brothers was on last week one night, and I just sat there and laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how I used to eat Quaaludes in 1980. And there was a pizza parlor in my neighborhood, and the guy was as racist as fuck. He was Greek. His name was Nick's Pizza. And he would just tell you what was on his mind. And he had the accent like, fuck you. And I remember going in there one night going, Nick, let me get a fucking Sicilian. And he was like, fuck you, you fucking speak. And I took the red crushed pepper and I threw it at him or some shit. And he's like, get out. Look at the shape. I went, oh, I know what happened. I puked. And I had puke on my shirt, and I went in there all Quaaluded out. And he's like, look at you. You look like Belushi. So ever since that, he would always call me fucking Belushi. Get the fuck. Fucking Belushi. He would today get arrested for his impolitically correctness. There's a kid in my neighborhood that now is an assemblyman. He's a big deal. His family always owned a funeral parlor. They were always very successful. When he was a kid, he would get a slice at Nick's, but he would cross the street to Hashways because the iced tea was a nickel cheaper. And Nick would be talking to me and go, where's fucking Bonini? And we go, he went to Hashways because the iced tea is cheaper across the street. Now this is Ventura Boulevard. Cars everywhere. Nick would walk out to the middle of the street and go, Bonini, you fucking Jew, you suck. But that, I always loved Candy.
Oh yeah.
I always loved all those big guys. You know, till this day I adore Jim Candy.
Yeah.
When Tommy Boy's on, I watch all that shit. All those late night Saturday Night Lives with Chris Farley. The Chicago shit makes me fucking laugh my ass off.
Yeah.
You know, it's so weird that I have the opportunity now. I'm still fucking kicking at 55 and those guys are gone. And there was one time when I was just as crazy as those guys. And it's so fucking sad to me. There's every 3 days I sit there and go, what made me quit that shit? and quit it for good. Like it never came into a thought. There was never a relapse. Like once I said enough, that was it. You know,
You're lucky.
I'm very fucking lucky.
Yeah. And you look gorgeous. You dropped a lot of weight since I saw you.
55 with a 5-year-old.
Nice.
You know, you got to, you hear the expression for years and you nod your head at your friends and you say yeah and you give them some bullshit story. But there comes a day you really, really have to look after yourself. It's like being a good friend to yourself. You know, you go home at night and you really want to eat that Haagen-Dazs, but you eat 2 apples instead and you get a Jell-O pudding that's got 3 points. You know, you really want the fucking Haagen-Dazs. And then in the morning you yell at your wife for getting the fucking Haagen-Dazs. And you throw it away.
That's why I do the shopping.
Do you?
Yeah, because I don't buy the shit that I know after a glass of wine that I'm going to eat.
You look great.
Well, thank you.
Now, for a guy that works on films, because people have no idea what a director's day is like and what's in front of them.
Yeah.
What's in front of you? You have no idea. Like, you don't know the call for the day. Yeah. Every once in a while you could come up to the first AD and say, bring me a salad from Chipotle.
Yeah.
But besides that, you're so consumed with the film. If you're really consumed with the film, you're not even thinking. You just want to hit the lunch break and then
See, I lose weight making movies because there's so much stress, right? So I had an assistant once when lunch would come up, you know, and they hand around, you know, the menu. Here's what's today. I said, dude, I make 10,000 decisions a day. Have this decision be yours. You know the 3 things I eat: chicken, whatever, and chicken. So just get me whatever. You know, I don't want to look at a menu. So we go, and when they turn the lights out in the dailies trailer, you know, there's an 18-wheeler and it's got pop-outs, and that's where we look at the footage from the day before. The food gets delivered, and as soon as it gets delivered, you know, they turn out the lights. And then your plate is lit by the screen, you know, that you're watching. Every time I'd look down, I'd hear a laugh, and I missed it. So I said, fuck, I can't cut with a knife and fork. So whatever you get me, his name was Skippy, whatever you get me, Skippy, I got to pick it up with my hands like an animal. I'm just going to, like a caveman in my cave, and I just pick it up, whatever it was. Chicken breast? Great, because I can hold it. After a while, I guess I got picky about what I was eating, and the lights would turn on, and Dean Semler would look at me, and he goes, mate, what's wrong with your face? I said, what do you mean? He said, you got red all around your mouth. And I had a terrible Australian accent, by the way, but I looked down at my plate, and I'm eating coleslaw and strawberries with my hand. I go, how long have I been eating this shit? He goes, well, I didn't want to bug you anymore because you got picky about your food, so you hadn't said anything in a couple of weeks. So I've been eating coleslaw and strawberries with my hands. You know, so that, you know, I fucked myself on that one.
How is the stress on those films, Peter?
It's, I remember my first movie, you know, we were shooting in 93, Naked Gun. I had gone from making, you know, television to a $35 million budget. I remember my mother telling me, man, your balls are really on the line. I went, thanks, Mom. That's so comforting. Thank you. And then, you know, when the numbers, first Sandler movie I did, you know, Anger Management with Jack Nicholson, was like $75 million. They don't make those, like I was saying before, they don't make those anymore. But so it's not just that I worked with Adam Sandler for the first time, although I'd known Adam through Farley and Spade and the other guys. We'd bump into each other. So I'm working with him, who was at the height of his career, very powerful. Jack Nicholson doesn't get any bigger. And then everybody wanted to be in that movie. Woody Harrelson, John Turturro, etc. And you can't... My brother asked me. My brother was left... He was the editor-in-chief of Los Angeles Magazine, just left, and now he's heading the news for NASA JPL. God bless him. And he said to me, don't you ever get nervous? I said, I literally don't have time to get nervous when I'm on the set. It's like business. And so that's how I'd lose weight. It'd just be so focused on what you have to do. And I'm, you know, very responsible, you know, so I don't want to go over. I'm a good Jew that way. Bad Jew religiously. Recreational Jew. So, but I don't want to go over ever. So I don't. But that's another pressure. You know, to keep that, hey, you remember Santa Fe, keep that juggernaut going when not only do you deal with football and prison and ghosts and all this, but every day at 3 PM, we'd have a fucking tornado. You know, we were shooting during the monsoon season.
And Nelly had to go on tour on Friday, so
Yeah.
he had to shoot everything until Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
And he had to
So
leave
insane.
on tour. I mean, there were days that, I don't know. When I looked at you, you didn't look stressed during the longest yard, but I knew it was hard on everybody. It take a genius to figure out that there was too many people.
No, it was crazy.
That was too many.
It was crazy. Look, if I have a superpower at all, it's I look calmer on the outside than I am on the inside.
That was I knew there was a lot of stress on you. I knew there was days that you were directing a movie and I wouldn't even look at you like that. It was just, there was no time.
Yeah.
There was no time
crazy.
to go, Pete, what do you want from me in this? You know, you gotta pee it and you got a thing and you're like, just do what you did.
Yeah.
You know, I still remember going up to Adam in Redondo Beach, and it was the day that Nelly released his 2 albums that he took us to the party. Do you remember that? It was like September, because we went to Santa Fe like July and August, and we came back and had a week off, and then we went down to work. And I'll never forget the day. Like, once we got up here, the game changed a little bit. There was no more Umbrella Girls.
Right. You mean back to California?
Back to California.
Yeah,
Paramount started lingering a little bit.
Yeah.
It was really funny that one day we're doing the locker scene, and I'm sitting there, I'm 395 pounds, and I'm like, damn, one of my favorite sports movies. Again, we all homage one of my favorite sports movies is Major League. I think they did a great job with Major League. And the Cuban in Major League is now a fucking huge star. He does Allstate commercials.
Right.
But there was one scene when the owner comes up to him and he's got a jock on, and she smacks him in the ass, and he's Cuban, and I go, you know what? What if I fucking wore a jock? And I'll never forget that Adam was talking to 2 guys from Paramount, and you guys were making wardrobe decisions, and I go, I gotta put this fucking jock on.
So that was your idea?
Oh, yeah.
So you're the guy that says I was sickened by him doing a wet willy to him, and then you come out in the jockstrap, and that's okay.
Because this is a real football scene. We're real prisoners. Listen, let me explain something to you. I saw the longest yard. At the Union City Cinema the weekend it came out, and there was 2 movies I had gone. Like, we went to everything in those days. That came out in '73, right? The original Longest Yard.
Yeah.
73. Look at what came out in 73. I mean, you were up against
No, that was 76. 73 was Deliverance, I think.
Deliverance. Yeah, I had because I remember there was only 2 movies, and I went to see everything at the cinema from Charles Bronson.
74 came out.
Yeah, 74. So I was 11, and they would let you in. The cinema didn't give a fuck if you were 10, 4, whatever. When they had that movie about the devil, The Exorcist came.
Yeah.
No, The Exorcist came out, and then somebody tried to be even more gross, and they came out with this other horror movie towards 74 where they gave you puke bags on the way in, but you had to be under 18. You had to come with your mother. They didn't give a fuck. They just gave you a puke bag, the devil's lair or whatever. But one thing I remember about The Longest Yard, first of all, my mother had the bar, so there was a lot of shady characters that hung there. And I went to this Union City Cinema, and I could look you in the eye, Pete, when I saw The Longest Yard, when it ended, the movie theater was on their feet, yelling, Mean Machine. Like, this is 1974. The other movie that we were on our feet for was Rocky. That movie theater, 300 people, you're standing on your seats. The people that got, what do you call those theater attendants? They kept telling us to sit down. Fuck
Ushers?
you. Yeah, the ushers were like, fuck you. Mean Machine, Mean Machine. So when I thought of the Mean Machine, I thought we were going to be a bunch of fucking badasses. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't know we was going to be more of a comedic. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So, no, that was my idea. I went up to him and said, dog, let me put a jock on. And one of the guys said no. And the other guy didn't like me. Not Barry Bernardi, but the other guy and me had gone to war over a bet. Because he couldn't pick a fucking winner. What was his original partner's name, the attorney?
Jack G.
Jack G. Couldn't pick a fucking winner if his day depended on him. He couldn't, bro. The luckiest day he ever had was the day his dog got hit by a car. So him and his younger brother. Remember his younger brother?
Yeah.
You know, whenever I play Long Island, his brother shows up.
Oh, yeah.
He still shows up, the younger brother. So Jack G was like down. He came to me and he goes, "What do you think about this game?" So I told him, and he lost, and he started getting pissed off at me. So Jack G was there when I went up to Adam. And he's like, "Absolutely not. I wasn't talking to you, bro. I was not fucking talking to you." You know, we were at that point in the movie.
Yeah.
The tempers were flaring a little bit.
Yeah, getting towards the end.
That was also the day that somebody threw the shirt at Michael Irvin, and Michael Irvin didn't catch it. And it landed on the floor. This is a very interesting story. And Romanowski stepped on it. And then Fucko from the Seattle Seahawks stepped on it. And Michael Irvin looked at both of them and he goes, "That's great. Real fucking mature." He goes, "It doesn't matter. Because when I played both of yous in college, all you motherfuckers seen was," and he tied the shirt around like it was a cape and he ran past him. He goes, "This is all you guys ever saw of me anyway, was me doing this." Like running, and we fucking, like Romanowski and the other guy had nowhere to go.
Oh,
like
that's
tempers
hilarious.
were already starting to flare.
Yeah.
Romanowski had called out the fighter. Not the big guy.
Not Bob Sapp?
Not Bob Sapp. Maury Smith.
Mm-hmm.
That was almost a fight in the fucking poor section one day that the staff didn't find out about.
No, Bill.
We were on our side, and we had the wrestlers across from us,
Yeah.
and it was me, Nick, Bill Goldberg,
Yeah.
and Romanowski was somewhere with his Hawaiian wife. And one day, fucking, he just went up to Mark or whatever and said some weird stuff to him. And Ivan Saliveri had to come out,
Yeah.
Bob Sapp had to come out, and one of the wrestlers stood in the middle, and that was the end of that.
There was a lot of testosterone.
A lot of testosterone on that fucking set.
But you know what is interesting? I just remembered, you know, especially since Burt Reynolds just passed. You remember the day Burt had an idea? He said, "I just want to do some stuff." It was like we had finished the day. He said, "Can I have some of the players over here? I just have some ideas." And that scene where he pulls you by your helmet down to the ground. Remember, there was no script for that. And I thought, I have no idea what he's doing. He just wants to. He said, I got some ideas. I just want to do some coaching stuff. So he brought you and a few other players. And Dalip Singh.
Dalip Singh, I remember specifically.
And I just thought to myself, what is going on here? But let's try it. You know,
If you look at that scene, it's about to rain.
Yeah, of course.
If you look at that scene,
it's
that
always
scene,
about to rain.
You couldn't. Whoever was lighting that scene did no bueno that day because it was just. By the time he lit it, it got darker.
Yeah.
But if you watch those scenes,
It was also getting to be nighttime.
It was getting to be nighttime.
Yeah.
So you could see the contrast. But I'll never forget that I didn't know what he wanted to do.
Me neither. And then he just said, line up and get in a 4-point stance. And then he just yanks you by your helmet.
He fucking yanked me.
Almost took your head off.
But I couldn't believe how strong he was.
Yeah.
Like at that moment, I hit the floor, and I remember him putting me up. "Come on, big guy, get up. Let's do this scene again." And now I was prepared for the yank. I wasn't prepared for the yank when he first
No.
yanked me.
That's in the movie.
That's in the movie. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I was hoping that stayed in the movie.
yeah,
I was like,
always.
I hope they keep that. I hope they keep that. That's Burt Reynolds touching me and shit like that. That's all that matters. I can talk shit from now till doomsday on that shit.
Well, I remember also Burt was not supposed to do, when he comes into the game, he was not supposed to actually run that play. And it was against Bosworth. And he said, "Pete, let me do it. I got it. Don't put my stuntman in. I got to do it." And I thought, we could actually kill Burt Reynolds on this play. I said, "Burt, really, none of the producers want you to do this. We got to put your stunt." He said, "Let me do it, kid. Let me do it." So we let him do it. Bosworth tackled him. Kind of went a little easier on him than he would have. And I remember picking Burt up and said, "Kid, you just added 10 years to my life." Never forget that. He had tears in his eyes.
It was really weird last week because I don't get emotional. You know, I can't tweet dumb shit. But it was so weird how he died, and I did some stuff, and I was like, wow, that's a shame that he died. He was a good guy. And then I went to the room, the computer, and my daughter came in, and there's everything she gives me, I hang up, you know. Mm-hmm. She gave me a picture, and a patch was on the picture, and she wanted to take the patch off the picture. So when I took the picture off the wall, there it was. There's a picture of me, Burt, Goldberg, Nick Turturro, and Adam. and he wrote, good, always love your brother, Bert. And I took the picture down. I sat there for 5 minutes, and I was like, dog, I went to prison. I got left back in the 7th grade. I got a GED. But in all this, I got to spend 6 weeks with Burt Reynolds, 2 trailers down from me. And I would be smoking in the mornings, pot, and he'd go, don't you know there's a federal prison right next door?
Yeah.
He always, so right then and there, like, I got emotional. I go, how fucking lucky am I? I went to see The Longest Yard, all the Smokey and Bandit movies. I went to see all that. Little Whorehouse in Texas. I was a fan. When I met him, there was 2 people who blew me away at the lunch. It was him and Luther, the guy that was in 48 Hours and the little guy.
Oh, yeah.
Steven. You ever work with him again? Have you ever
Not
bumped into him?
since. No, he was a great actor, though.
We kept in touch for a long time. And I would do shows in the city, and he would show up, Peter Segal. He would show up, and people would go, fucking Luther's here from 48 Hours. People would freak the fuck out when they saw him.
Yeah.
The guy he's from the Warriors. He told us.
Yeah.
He told us how he got that. That when he moved, he was a musician from Detroit. And he moved to New York. And he lived in the Bronx. And he had long hair, and that every night the Italians would play bottles and go, dirty hair, come out and play, eh? So when he got Warriors, that's where he got that thing with the bottles. I mean, it's fucking crazy the shit you learn and all this stuff.
Yeah.
What did you learn from Jennifer Lopez?
She's a great actress. She really is. Blew me away. She is, she kind of went through a little bit what I did in her experience with doing television, where you crank out 10 pages a day. She had to learn, because the old movie business, when you're doing 2 pages a day, 2.5 pages a day, it's luxurious and super slow. You're doing 10 pages a day, you better know your shit. So she was prepared. And when an actor is prepared, you get to play more. You get to try things. And it's a very sweet story. It's very funny, but it's emotional. And it's inspirational. It's about, second acts in life, when you think that you're done, and you talk about it with your podcast.
Yeah.
You said, a little less acting, and now you've got a new lease on what you're doing, and that's what her character goes through in that movie. And in a way, I'd done all these male-driven movies. This was my second act. I did something very different. It's a sort of a chick flick. The guys like it too, but I know who my audience is in this one, But she's great and charming. And I got to tell you, we've almost worked together a few times over the years, but she's never been bigger. She's a freaking brand.
No, she's on TV too, right?
She's television. She's Vegas. She's movies. She's, just was the VMA, Video Vanguard, Michael Jackson, Lifetime Achievement, blah, blah, blah.
I remember you retweeted that.
Yeah,
I watched it.
She's, I don't know anyone who works harder. I don't know. I don't get it, how hard she works.
She's starting to show Ray Liotta.
Yeah, that's finishing. That's wrapping up.
Okay.
And so I think it might have finished. But she's got World of Dance, which is huge. And like I said, she's still doing Vegas. I just heard a commercial, for her Vegas thing from the tourism board in Nevada. And she's got, now the movie thing is kicking back in. She's sort of not done that in a while.
She's got comedy chops, dog.
She does.
She's got comedy chops.
She does.
You know what she was good at? You know what was a bad movie, but she was really good at? The Hector Lavoe story. Mm-hmm. The Hector Lavoe story was, because if you don't remember right, one of the costume designers on The Longest Yard was her costumer for years.
Oh, I didn't know.
The blonde. There was the blonde. So the blonde brought in the script to Hector Lavoe and gave it to me. She goes, I don't know if you know Jennifer's doing this. If you see something and you want to audition for it, there was really nothing for me to audition for in that movie. Mm-hmm. But she plays a crazy wife, a Puerto Rican wife. And she's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like I said, the movie, she was married to Mark Anthony at the time, so she shot it with Mark Anthony. Mm-hmm. The movie's not an Academy Award winner, but she did pretty fucking good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She did. She did really good. So, did you see yourself at USC college doing all the shit you're doing now, 20 years later, 30 years later? When did you graduate from USC?
I graduated 84, and I wanted to be a pro football player. So I walked on football team at SC as a punter. I was quarterback in high school, but I said I'm not going to make it as a quarterback, but I could kick. And made the first 2 cuts and then got cut. But the coolest thing, ironically, again, relates back to Longest Yard. The guy who beat me out was Sean Salisbury, who became our quarterback coach in the Longest Yard. So I got to tell him, you ended my football career. But thank you, because without you, I may not have gone into what I'm doing now. Because I got an internship at local CBS, and that began my segue into a world I never thought I'd get into.
I can never forget this either. We're standing there in a circle. Sean Salisbury comes in saying hellos to everybody. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? I think Romanowski goes, what's that fucking mutt doing here? Right? Like, and Romo said it so he could hear it.
Yeah.
He goes, what's that fucking mutt doing here? And when Sean Salisbury was 4 feet from him, he looked at Romo, he goes, what are you here to do? Teach these quarterbacks how to get sacked?
Oh, my God.
Right to his face.
Wow.
Salisbury's like, you've never changed. I never will.
Wow.
Get the fuck out of here, you mutt. He was pissed.
Oh, my God.
He goes, what are you here to do? I'm here to help out the quarterback. Teach him how to get sacked? What the fuck did you ever do? Get out of here.
Oh, my God. I never heard that story.
No, there was...
Oh, that's a good one.
He pulled a couple good shit on there. Like I said, I was a virgin. I had done like 10 movies where I was 3 days or less. I think the longest stint I had was a movie with Rodney Dangerfield that there wasn't no character. He liked me so much, he just told me when to come in. Yeah, we'll find something for you tomorrow, kid. Just come in. I'd have to knock on his door, and he'd have a robe on. His dick was out, his balls were out. He didn't give a fuck. He's rolling a joint. It's blowing up everywhere. Should I come in tomorrow? Jojo, come in. What do you... So I had never been in this fucking 17-week.
Yeah.
We shot so much garbage at the end.
Oh, yeah.
That I was sitting there going, why are we still here? Do you remember the night? Like, everybody was wrapped. It was me and Lobo, and we shot a scene of me tattooing Lobo's back.
Oh, yeah. I do.
And it was, she wanted Joy Behar, but I put, like, Roseanne Barr on his back. He got pissed off at me.
I can't even remember that.
We never kept. That was the night. I mean, there had to be 8 of us. I mean, we were shooting, like, 6 scenes, and fucking Adam got a chocolate fountain.
What?
Dog, you think I'm kidding you? It's Sony. He got a fountain that was made out of chocolate with chocolate fudge, with fondue. All you did was... I stood there for 2 hours just fucking fondueing. Are you kidding me? We did that scene, never made it. One scene that was just horrible. We could not get to work. That was one of the best scenes in the movie, is when they're in the infirmary. In the original, it's one of the best scenes in the movie. They're throwing toilet paper at each other, and they're cheering. They just won. The guys all hurt in the infirmary. We shot that. That never made it. It was god-awful.
I don't even remember that.
It was like me and 2 other guys, but I didn't have nobody to work off of. You didn't give me somebody comedically. So you gave me 2 wrestlers and a guy from the Giants. I couldn't do nothing with him. Remember the guy that won the championship with the Giants? He was number 55 for the Giants. He was a white dude.
Yeah.
He was in that movie. He was like a friend of Adams and shit.
Oh, yeah.
You had him in the infirmary, all the guards, that Steve Austin, who got his dick knocked out, and somebody else who got knocked out. I was the only guy that got knocked out by Romo.
Yeah.
So I was in the infirmary. We shot the infirmary scene, which I was excited as fuck for.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a great scene. I'm throwing toilet paper at them. I'm telling them to go fuck themselves. We just...
Yeah, well...
It was horrifically bad.
Well, see, you're a comic. At least you know when it's bad. You know, when you're not comedic...
I knew that one.
I am killing.
When I walked out of that scene, I go, they're not going to have that.
Yeah.
That was just that bad. That was just that bad. Are you happy you're doing what you're doing?
I am. You know what? One thing, we're talking so much about The Longest Yard, but there's nothing closer that I can imagine to actually being a performer than when I go into a theater and watch one of my movies that is rocking. And I remember our final test screening in Las Vegas for Longest Yard. We got a 94. My heart was going to come out of my chest because, like, when Nelly's streaking for the touchdown, and Chris Berman's going, "Hey, good, go." The whole crowd goes, "Oh, wait." When you're talking about the original Longest Yard, and that the crowd stood, the crowd was cheering this movie during the game like it was an actual game. And I thought if you took my pulse, it'd be like 150 beats per minute. It was one of the coolest things ever. Walked out, and Bosworth said, "Dude, this movie's going to blow up." I remember calling Chris Rock from my phone saying, "I wish you were here tonight in Las Vegas." That's the type of thing that makes me love what I do. There's a lot of crap that you got to deal with. It's very, very hard. A lot harder than people think. But when you can have a night like that, it makes it all worth it.
So a couple last questions. So when a movie goes over budget, Pete, they blame you?
Blame me. Here's the thing. My movies have not gone over budget. I'm pretty honest about that. Pretty honest. That's weird. I am honest about that. But you know what? James Cameron's little movie called Titanic went way over budget, almost by double. Didn't matter. 11 Academy Awards, one of the biggest hits of all time. I could be on budget and have a bomb. Doesn't matter that I was on budget. It was a bomb. So I don't want to sound this way and make studio execs nervous hearing this, but it almost doesn't matter. I've seen people rewarded for one and, shit on for the other. You just got to make a good
If you
movie.
go over budget and you win 11 Academy Awards, they suck your dick and call you shorty.
Exactly.
If you go over budget and you eat a bag of dicks,
Yeah, then you're fucked.
You can't go. You can't even get a table at fucking the
you
Cracker
go into
Barrel.
director's jail.
It's so weird how everything is off your last movie. That's it.
Yep.
And in today's economy, in today's world, it's money.
Yep.
Which the money's not what it used to be.
Nope.
People aren't going to the movies. They got Netflix. They got this. They got that. You're in a tough business. And when I asked you about the stress, it's just because, I tell you what, man, for 3 years, I had a hard time with comedy the last 3 years. And I let the audience get to me. I wanted them to leave having a good experience. I know what you have to go through to come watch me. You have to get a babysitter. You have to get your wife all dolled up. She's got to shave her monkey. You got to shave your monkey. There's a lot to go into a comedy show or a movie theater with your wife, especially in today's economy. So if you pay $27.50 to come see you, I want to be the best I can, so I play it safe. I play it on the budget. I stay to a certain time. I finally realized I got to be myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't give a fuck no more. The audience is going to love me whether they know it or not, just because I stepped out on stage. And that's how I don't want to work on a movie set. Like, The Longest Yard was 2 changes. New Mexico was relaxed as fuck. And then California was, now we got cameras on us. Everybody's watching us. I felt the difference. I felt looser in whatever. And it's a healthier environment. So for you to fake the funk and say that you were under stress, you had me fooled, because I laughed my ass off shooting it. I mean, I had my rough days because I was just that out of shape. When you guys were training, they were walking me around the field with an oxygen tank.
I do remember
with
that.
2 hoses in my nose because I couldn't even breathe in that elevation. So these guys
that's
are doing push-ups.
Yeah, I forgot the elevation.
The elevation was, I was 400 pounds. So I had an oxygen coach that would just give me oxygen and make me do like little push-ups. That was my training, like just move your feet up. That's all I was doing. He was, all right, you're good. Take a breather. Peter Segal, I'm happy you took time out of your busy day
Thank you, my friend. Love seeing you.
to come visit. I did not know that you had won 8 Emmys.
Local Los Angeles area Emmys.
Okay.
They're a little smaller.
Okay, whatever. You still won something.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
won
saying?
something.
It's like Lee won the contest of flappers. You won a pizza. You still won something. You know what I'm saying? It's not the best pizza in the world, but you won a pizza. That's all that matters. No, I'm happy you took the time. I hope you come visit me again before the movie comes out.
Will
and
do.
We can get in more detail.
Yeah.
So has she released the trailer on her?
Yeah, it's out. Trailer's out. It's online, I guess. Yeah. Wherever you find it online, but I'd go, to her Instagram, you probably find it. So there's only 77 million other people on there, so easy to find.
Like I said when you came in here, I love your Twitter. I hope more people follow you on Twitter.
Thank you. And Instagram.
Where do they go to find you on Instagram?
Instagram. Well, I got the blue check recently.
Oh, shit. You got verified?
I got verified.
All right.
So I guess I'd just say Pete Segal and it gets to me. But if not, it's at Pete_Segal.
You know, I like what you're doing as a director. You give people a look into your world. And I think, now, I think I just shot something a few months ago. And when I got there, they made me sign something. And they didn't want no pictures taken. And I thought it was so weird. I got 500,000 followers. You don't want me to take a picture of me on the TV set with the director or one of the stars of the show. They were so social media scared. And no, we have our own people. Your people suck dick. That's why you got 1,100 people following you. You know what I'm saying? They don't know what they're doing. You just hired a college student. I like what you do with social media. That's why I kept bugging you to come in because you're onto something. When I see those pictures and shit, you're onto something.
Thanks, man.
So don't be a fucking stranger.
No.
When does the movie get released?
Thanksgiving.
So
day before.
We'll see you after that. We'll see you after that. And we'll talk some shit about the movie and stuff like that. Thank you very much for coming in. Taking the time. And I love you to death. Don't forget, you little dirty bastards. Everything sold out this weekend. Where am I going? Philadelphia and fucking listen. Hurricane, no hurricane could stop me. I'm getting on that plane tomorrow. Tip Top Magoo, headed to fucking Philly, and then Saturday night I'm at the 9:30 Club. But I'll see you guys next week. I want to thank Peter Segal again for coming on the show. You know I love you, brother. Anyway, listen, I got to talk to you people about something that's important. Football season is upon us, okay? It's time to make some geeters for the holidays. And you know me, if it ain't my bookie, I don't fuck around. Ever since I started the podcast, you people always torture me. Who do you like? The over and under. I don't know dick. I don't know nothing. The only thing I know is my bookie. You got to check it out because it's not as important as what you're betting on as who you're betting with because you want to get paid. Trust me, these guys are the best bet you'll have all goddamn season. First off, they've been in business for years. They got great reviews online, and their mobile site is easy to use. I would only recommend the service to you guys. That's been good to me. That's why I'm urging you to make your way to my bookie. You know why? Because you win and they pay. That's it. They have an in-game live betting, the most rewarding player perks in the business. And for you fantasy guys out there, you could even bet the over, under, and how many fantasy points a player will score each game. Where do you get that type of action from? My bookie, bitch. That's who. So do me a favor. Go to my bookie and join now, and they'll match your deposit. You ready for this one? Dollar for dollar. Use promo code CHURCH, CHURCH, to activate the offer. Visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie, MyBookie, and don't forget to use the promo code CHURCH, CHURCH, when creating your account to claim up to $1,000 in free play. Again, MyBookie. You play, you win, you get fucking paid, and that's the most important thing. Number two, you're sitting there scratching yourself, looking at your mother and father going, I don't know what I am, what I do. Here's what you are, 23andMe. 23andMe is a DNA testing service that can offer insights into your ancestry, health, wellness, and traits. 23andMe Health and Ancestry Service includes reports on how your DNA can influence your weight, sleep, quality, and caffeine intake, sense of taste, and whether you're likely to be lactose intolerant, and more. And it's easy to do. You just spit into a tube provided by your 23andMe kit, and you mail your saliva sample back to the lab to be analyzed. The bitter taste report versus the sweet and salty reports. The DNA play a role in determining your food preferences, from sweet to salty to bitter. They got sleep reports. The deep sleep report tells you if you're most likely to be an especially deep sleeper. The deep sleeper movement report tells you how much you're likely to move during your sleep based on your DNA. That's the kind. Listen, the lactose intolerant report sheds insights on how your genetics may affect your ability to digest dairy products. That's all by just spitting into a tube and sending it to 23andMe with the kit and mail your saliva sample back to the lab to be analyzed. It's that simple. So do me a favor. Order your 23andMe Health and Ancestry Service kit today. Right now, today. Order your 23andMe Health and Ancestry Service kit at 23andme.com/church. Again, 23andme.com/church. That's the number, 23andme.com/church. Listen, you're going to find out a lot of good stuff that you want to know. So go to 23andme.com right now. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the church. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting Lee. But most importantly, for listening and being family. You know I love you motherfuckers with all my heart. I'll see you this weekend. You understand me? Whether it be at the fucking Philly Parks Casino or at the 930 Club, you bad motherfuckers. I love you. Stay black. Lee, kick this fucking mule.